Welcome to the Ginger and Chocolate Podcast. I am Lindsay, and I have a co-host, Mike, who you all know, but he is camping today. So it's just me and our guest, Lauren Lewis. Hi, Lauren. How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you, Lindsay? It's been a while.
Doing
Good to see
great.
you.
It's been a while. I think I couldn't remember exactly how long since you were on the show before, but I think it was like 2021 or 2021. So it's 2025 now. Can you believe it? Time is flying. So since we saw you back so I believe in 2021, you were going to race Western States. Is that right?
Yep.
And you had
Yep.
a 24-hour goal.
Goal. I had a 24-hour goal. When I was in the race in 2021, so I'd been on the wait list in 2019, and made it all the way up to number 2 on the wait list, and I didn't run in 2019. But that's relevant because I basically started training for 2021 Western States in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Because I was was on the wait list, trained, was ready to go at Palisades, but didn't didn't make it to the top of the wait list, so didn't run. And then I got picked in the actual lottery for the 2020 run, but the 2020 run didn't happen because 2020 COVID, right? So that rolled to 2021. So I
Oh,
basically had 3 years to train for for
that's good. It's
for
good.
the 2021 Western States. No, it was great, and I wanted to try and run sub 24.
Mm-hmm.
That you get the different buckle, you get the silver buckle, and it's
Oh,
100 miles one day, legit. So I kind of went all in on the training, all in on the effort. But I didn't make it. I didn't make it. I felt like I feel like I was in good enough shape, but just executing over that amount of time is
mm-hmm.
hard enough that I just didn't pull it off.
So I want to hear all about your race, but before that, I want to hear about this wait list. You were at Palisades, so you could get called at the last minute on the wait list? Wow.
The way it works at Western States is the run starts Saturday at 5 a.m. They close the entrance list Friday at 1 p.m. So that means until Friday at 1 p.m. you can drop out of the race and keep your tickets, right? You like
Mhm.
whatever tickets you had in the lottery. If you drop out before Friday at 1 p.m., you keep those tickets.
Oh,
Um, and then they call up the next person from the wait list. So the guy in front of me on the wait list was from Georgia,
mm,
and he came all the way. He came from Georgia to not knowing he was in the race to get picked on the wait list. The guy,
wow.
the guy, one spot in front of that was from Japan. Um,
Wow.
yeah. So when I was
And he
standing,
got picked, right? The guy from Japan
no, the
was
guy from Japan did not get. So 1 and 2 did not get picked. Was the guy from Japan and me. Um,
oh.
I might have explained that a little upside down, but yeah, the
Mhm.
guy, the first guy to not get picked was the guy from Japan, and then me, and so I was standing next to the guy. Actually, it was kind of cool, Lindsay, because it'd be really easy for me to feel sorry for myself. Like, oh, I
Mhm.
made it up to number 2 on the wait list. I drove to Tahoe. I've been hanging out all week, and I'm not going to get picked. But the guy next to me was from Japan.
Right.
Like he flew all the way from
Oh,
Japan,
my gosh.
and he had a really nice trip. Like he and I are now friends. There's another Japanese runner in the area, Cooney. Everybody knows Cooney, and Cooney hosted this guy and took him out running on the trails. So he had a week in the area of enjoying the trails and stuff like
Oh,
that. But
that's
yeah, this
cool.
guy came from Japan. So yes, you can get picked on the wait list right up until Friday at 1 o'clock.
Wow.
And
So,
if you are from anywhere in the world, I'm in California. I'm California based. It was easy for me to just go, right?
right.
But if you're from anywhere in the world, you kind of got to, you're like,
Show
okay,
up.
maybe this is my chance to run Western States. I got to be there, right?
Right, right. And you have to have trained because it's go time, right? It's not like you get to know months in advance. So that's amazing. That's kind of, in a way, it's kind of cool because it keeps you training, and like you said, it kept you engaged, and you got to train for 3 years.
It was so in hindsight. Okay, two things. Number one, that was going to be my second Western States. So I'd already run one. That was a slip of the tongue. Run Western States. Like I'd already run Western States. So if that kind of gave me some ease, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, right? If it's your first Western States and you think this might be your only chance, that adds a lot of weight to how you manage the wait list.
Mhm. Oh, totally.
With a finish under my belt, like I was just like, okay, I'm part of the experience, I'm part of the conversation. My training has intent, like I have all this focus. Um and if I and if I end up at Palisades standing next to a guy from Japan, it's a good story, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I was really at peace with all that. I have friends who have been on the wait list and run, and I have friends who have been on the wait list and not run, gotten really close and not run. They really struggled with like how much do I plan, how much do I train. I
Mhm.
didn't. I didn't. I was just like I'm all in. I'm all in. When it comes to the planning, I'm gonna go super light on crew and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
Because that you don't want to waste their time, right? but
Right,
but
right.
I'm just gonna have one drop bag, and I'm gonna be fit, and it worked.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about the actual race, the race day, like how long it took, and what the highlights were, what the challenges were.
Ah, man, I was in such great shape. I was so fit. And so Duncan Canyon is my club's aid station. We are in charge of or host the mile 25 ish. I think it's 23 or something. I should know, right? I'm the co-captain. Um, I know how to get there. So, but yeah, so it's about about the quarter point. I've been associated with that aid station. I've been going to that aid station since 2013. Uh, and so it was really important to me to just to come in hot, right? To come into that
Mhm.
aid station on time, feeling good, and but to get from Palisades to Duncan Canyon, that's the high country section. That's
Mhm.
arguably the hardest part of the course. It doesn't have the most vertical climbing, but you're at the highest altitude, and the
Yeah.
terrain is tough. So I invested a lot in getting into Duncan Canyon fast.
Uh-huh.
And I think I kind of blew it. Like I think I kind of blew it. Duncan Canyon's, like I said, it's like I think mile 23. Robinson Flat is like mile 30. And by the time I got to Robinson Flat, I was feeling like I can't keep this up anymore, right?
Uh-huh.
Um and I was really, really, really really invested, like 3 years invested in that sub
Yeah.
24 finish. And I did not have I didn't. All this is years of hindsight and reflection, right? None of this. I didn't know any of this on race day, um, but like, there was no plan B. Like
Mm.
it was sub 24 or bust. And when I got into Robinson Flat, I saw my crew. They said I had the 100-mile stare, like that, like the look of like almost like a look of like panic and fear. Like I was still
Uh-huh.
moving, but I was like afraid, and
Right.
and that was what was going on. It was like it was like I don't know, like this is mile 30. I don't know how I can do this for 70 more miles, and I don't have another plan.
Mm.
Started cramping really, really bad leaving
Mhm.
Robinson Flat again because I overinvested in the high country. And then I don't know, by Dusty Corners, which is like mile 40, I started sitting around and walking. And what I mean by
Mhm.
sitting around is I'm like sitting in the aid stations
Mm.
telling them that I can't run the way I want to run. And they're like, you're moving just fine. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't run the way I want to run. And I'm sitting there waiting for them to say, like, do you want to drop?
Yeah.
Like, I'm waiting for somebody to tell me it's okay to quit. Right.
Mm. Mhm.
And they just wouldn't. Uh, it's just like, well, what's wrong? My legs hurt. You're running a 100-mile race. Of course your legs hurt. Like, are you able to
Right.
move? Like, oh, I'm moving really, really well, just not fast. I'm not going to finish with the time I want. Get out of here. They're like, get out of here. Like, they like you literally get thrown out of the aid station. Um, at about mile 50, I was having a similar experience. I was on a cot. Somebody was putting KT tape on my legs. I was feeling sorry for myself. The captain walked up to me. The aid station captain walked up to me and he said, "Hey, look, man, go quit somewhere else," which was one of the greatest things I've ever heard.
Wow.
like, because I think it's like a life lesson. Like, go quit somewhere else.
Yeah.
Take the next step, and then reassess, and then take the next step and reassess, and take the next step and reassess. Right? Go quit somewhere else. And yeah, but like, I got to my crew at mile 52. I told them, I said, "Great news. You can all go have dinner with your families. Like, we don't have to do this anymore. We're done." And they said,
Right.
"No, we're not. We're not done. We're gonna finish the race." And I was a big pouty mess. But once the sun started to come up, I got to Alt, which is Coastside Running Club. Um, they were amazing. They were expecting me so much sooner, but they were just so happy that I got there. Uh, and yeah, and I finished the race. Like, I spent hours in cots and chairs, like, feeling sorry for myself. Did you hear that? Pardon me.
Yes, no worries. So, for the listener, Lauren has cats, and they decided that this morning is the time for them to battle it out somehow. So
Work out
fine.
their, like, whatever unresolved issues they have. They want to work it out right now. So yeah. Um, so between Alt and the finish line, I passed like 100 people. Like, I totally came alive and I started running again, and like,
Wow.
um, yeah, and uh, it was what was it's kind of it's a good news bad news story for me. Like, I am so embarrassed that I spent so much time trying to quit, trying to sabotage my own race. Western states, people
Hmm.
like people want to get into that race so bad,
Right.
and I spent so much time trying to sabotage my own race. But my crew wouldn't let me quit. The volunteers wouldn't let me quit. Like, um, and I finished. And I have this one memory, and I know I've just been talking nonstop for a while, even like only interrupted by cats. But I have this one memory where I'm trying to tell my crew, like, we're done, we're done, we're going to the hotel, we're going to the hotel. I know I can finish this race, but I don't want to spend all that time walking around in the dark. But then I asked him for my socks. I said, "Can I have those clean socks?" And I don't know. Like, to me, that was a moment, because obviously somewhere in my brain, like, I wasn't quitting, right?
Hmm.
I asked for the socks, like.
Yeah.
So I put on clean socks, and I put on the clean socks because I knew I was going to leave that aid station. Like, even though I was begging somebody to tell me it was okay to go to the hotel.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
So, and you feel like that was all about the fact that you weren't going to do have the race that you thought you were going to have. The reason I ask is that I regularly, when I'm doing a race, have a battle in my head about like, uh, I don't have to do this. I could just stop doing this right now. And I want to stop because it's, painful. I'm tired. All of the things my brain can conjure up. Why am I out here? I've told the story about being in Santa Cruz and having a really bad swim and having a scary swim and being like, this is why black people don't do this shit. This is some white people shit, in the water. What we don't, because there's sharks out here. We know better, and just all of that stuff. But it sounds like your race was more like, uh, I'm not doing what I want to do, and so therefore I don't want to do it. Is that a more accurate, or was it partially pain and suffering?
No, it was I'm not living up to my own expectations.
Mm,
I I had a very well defined goal in mind. It was yes or no, and it's no,
mhm.
and today is no. Um, and uh, so I understand, like professional athletes who make a living doing this and stuff like that. Like I can sort of understand when they're not having their day, that the
Mhm.
right thing to do is to stop, right? Like,
Right.
like save that effort for, if today's not today, save that effort for another time.
Mhm.
But but I wasn't going to win Western States, and it's Western States. Like it's
Yeah.
like I can't just like, oh, I'll try again next year, right? Like
Mhm.
so so you, I don't want to say you have to, but you should have a plan B. You should
Mhm.
have a plan for, if I'm not going to run my A race today, like this is how I'm going to get to the finish line, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And um and be grateful and happy, like rather than just brutalizing yourself for hours, like you suck, you're not going to make it, like, like
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
crazy. That was a crazy way to spend half a day. Like, don't
Mhm.
do that. don't do
Not
don't do
recommended.
that. Like, um
Wow.
but like, yeah, lesson, but I feel like I learned that lesson. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
I feel like I learned that lesson. And Lindsay, like, I can't believe it. Like, but since we last spoke, I've run Western States twice. like,
Really? Wow.
and I nailed it the second time. Like, or
Really?
which was my third Western
Third time.
States, but the
Yeah.
second time since we last spoke. But yeah, like, yeah,
And did you reach your goal on that one
I didn't have a
or come
goal.
close?
I
Oh, you
didn't
didn't
have,
have.
so
Ah.
like,
That
well,
helps.
I did have a goal. I did have a goal to be present and grateful, and
Mm,
um, yeah, that was my goal, and I crushed it. Um,
yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. So, that's a good lesson for everybody. The it's not always. It's like, yes, a goal, like a time goal or something like that, is probably helpful when you're training. It can be helpful, I suppose, when you're training. But sort of doing the footwork and then letting go of the results is probably the best thing to do in a long race like that, because, um, like you said, you can expend a lot of energy, um, worrying about not having the race that you planned on having. And my experience with running, and I've never run anything as long as you guys run, but my experience running even short runs is that it's unreliable in the sense that I don't have the same run every day. No two runs are alike, and sometimes they really suck, even if they're short. I just hate it the whole time. It's just painful. My legs hurt, or whatever. I can't generate any real power. I don't have. And then a different day, I'll go out there and you know feel amazing the whole time. And so, trying to get that amazing feeling to coincide with a race day, I feel like is can be challenging with running. I feel like more than anything for me, between the three disciplines, running is the one that's the least reliable in terms of how I'm going to perform.
I I think you touched on like a couple of really important points there. One of them is like, go, for training, goals matter for training, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the day in, day out routine, which is the most important thing. Like that will carry you to the finish line of life, right? Like all
Mm-hmm.
those good habits. Um, but but you kind of need goals to like to drive those things, right? Like there has to be. I call it the or else, right? There
Mm-hmm.
has to be some or else, right? Like I'm gonna get up at 4:30 in the morning, or else. Otherwise, I'm not gonna get up at 4:30 in the morning, right?
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is like in the day, again, if you're a professional athlete, there's sponsorships and all that stuff. that's a different topic, I guess. But like
Mhm.
for folks like us, I guess, like in that event, it can't be that kind of or else, right?
Mhm.
Like it can't be 24 hours or else. Like when I ran Western States in 2024, that was the good year. Like I was nowhere near as fit in 2021. And that was part of it, was knowing that like I just didn't have that fitness. And I was like, okay, I have to like, so first of all, that what am I going to do when it gets hard? It gets hard when the alarm goes off in the morning. Like I
Right.
need to be ready like for a fight from the get-go, and I need to be in that this is going to be hard mentality from the very jump. I can't find myself in a, oh no, what now, right?
Mhm.
um and the other thing is like partly because I didn't have the fitness. I it was like if I finish, this is going to be, that will be a thing, right?
Mhm.
That will be a thing. It will, you know what? It'll be a miracle. So just go out there and just hang in there. Just hang in there and enjoy that you're out there. Be ready for a fight. Um, and yeah, it was pretty terrific. Like, uh, people take pictures of you along the course when you're running Western States. I was always smiling. I looked so happy,
Oh, that's
like all
awesome.
day and all night. Like I looked so happy. Like
Just a
yeah,
completely different vibe than 2021.
totally.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And just out of curiosity, because I feel like, well, total tangent, but I'm not sure my body would cooperate if I tried to run it an ultra. It doesn't seem to want to cooperate with a lot of my training right now. But one of the big scary thing for me would be the middle of the night when people talk about kind of hallucinating and just being like a lot out of it. Do you experience that? Because I know some people don't experience that. It seems like most have something.
I do. My eyes get really tired. Um,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, and your brain gets tired too. So you like that is, so that's definitely a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do what I call eye naps, uh, which seem to really help. Um, so sometime late in the afternoon, um, I'll go into an aid station and I'll say, "Hey, everything's fine. I'm okay, but I need 6 minutes. I want you to
Mm-hmm.
set a timer for 6 minutes and leave me alone. Like please don't bother me for those 6 minutes. But at the end of that 6 minutes, come get me." And I just close my eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, I'm sure that there's an element of rest going on in in my mind and body, but the main thing is my actual eyes. Like to just,
Oh.
they've been looking at reflected sunlight all day. They're getting ready
Mm-hmm.
to start the night where they're going to be looking into a flashlight. Um,
Right.
I was I was running a 100-mile race, Headlands 100, and I was really struggling. I couldn't see. Like I could see like things like light, light and the absence of light, but I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't make out relevant information. It was just light and absence of light, right? And so, out of necessity, I stopped and closed my eyes. And then, after a few minutes, I got going again, and I felt much better. And that was when I was like, okay, this is a thing. This is like
Mm-hmm.
I rest. If you're not fast enough to finish before it gets dark, like I
Yeah.
rest is a thing, right? For me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that's a real thing for me. But I've kind of figured that's my little how I manage it.
That's cool. I can relate to the eye problem just from doing Ironman because I'm not fast enough to finish in the daylight if and on an Ironman Santa Rosa, you run through along the river, which is lovely because it's dirt. So, which is nice because a lot of Ironman, you're on the road for the marathon and you're getting kind of beat up. But the the along the river, there's no light, there are no street lights or anything, and so they gave us all headlamps, which is fine because I'd run with my team at night in the dark. Um, but uh, I think that just seeing these pinpoints of light and not seeing anything else was really, really uh, challenging. It challenged my vision, first of all, because like you said, I could just see these pinpoints of light in front of me where other people had headlamps, and I could see nothing else except for right where my headlamp was shining. And then I could see, and then there was just dark. And the other part of that was that they had cleared out all the people that kind of lived in the park and hung out and did drugs in the park for the Ironman. And then once it was dark, these people were like, "Oh, what are they going to do? They can't see me." And I heard a rustling in the bushes at one point, and there was a dude, like a scary dude with a cane, just sitting there staring at me as I was like shuffling along. And I'm like, time to pick up because my I was doing
He's
a
your new
run part.
pacer.
He was. I picked it up pretty, and I was like, I'm gonna just run faster till I get with another group of tiny little lights. But yeah, the vision, and I was tired and my eyes were burning and all of that. So I relate, and I was only going, marathon, not 100 miles. Look, there's one of the cats. Oh, black cat starting shit. He looked like when he just looked into the camera, he looked like he was a troublemaker, or she.
He's the big guy. He's the big guy around here.
um, okay, so I know that we talked a little bit before we started recording that you are doing some race directing as well. So not just racing, but some directing races. Tell me a little bit about getting into that, and then and what races you're doing, and kind of what it's like, because I don't think I've ever spoken to a race director before.
Yeah, like uh, that's so. I'm a member of the Quicksilver Running Club. Active member of the Quicksilver Running Club. Like I was aid station. I ran their race. It was 2013. The back then it was the 50 miler 50K. Now it's the 50K 100K. We made that change when Western States changed the qualifying standards,
Oh, okay.
uh, so that we could stay a Western States qualifier. We've been a Western States qualifier for God, years and years and years, 20, 30 years. We also yeah, we also host the Duncan Canyon Aid Station at Western States as part of uh, our long-standing affiliation with that race. But yeah, so I ran the race in 2013, joined the club, and then in 2014 I signed up for the race, and they said, and I was a board member of the club, and they said, "Yeah, you should probably volunteer, like instead of run the race, And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, no problem." Um, but I want my own aid station. They said, "Okay, fine." So I was the captain of the Woods Road Aid Station for a handful of years. That's the aid station at the top of the Sierra Sewell Open Space Preserve, kind of like the apex of the most difficult part of the course. Like, so you get a lot of people wanting to drop there and stuff like that, but you can't extract people from there. So it's it's kind of a complicated aid station.
Mm-hmm.
And then the our RD at the time was relocating to the East Coast. And it was kind of one of those situations where you didn't want somebody too new to do it. Um, I kind of stepped up. Like, I mean, I wasn't dying to be an RD, but I was kind of looking around at who else was going to do it, and I kind of felt a call to action, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Quicksilver for the last several years has had two RDs. It was me and Pierre for a year or so, and it's been me and Stuart for the last handful of years. But yeah, so that's how that came to be. So me and Stuart Taylor have been RDs of the Quicksilver 100K 50K for the last few years now. What that entails is permits, porta potties, and junk food.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Can you tell me a little bit Quicksilver, is that in the South Bay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are, uh, the park itself is basically in Almaden Valley. And Almaden
Uh-huh.
Valley is kind of the southwest part of San Jose that's kind of in the area of 17 and 85 and
Hmm.
87, south and west of there.
Okay. Okay. And the race goes up, is that, you don't run by Mount Umunhum, do you? Is that up
We
there?
run by it. We don't run over it, um, but we run by it. So Umunhum is in the Sierra Sul Open Space Preserve, and
Okay.
about half of our course is in that same open space preserve.
Okay.
We don't run over Umunhum just because it's such a popular
Uh,
everyday weekend hiker that the race would be pretty disruptive.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that
it
makes
would be
total
cool. It
sense.
would be a very cool feature for the race, but we would pretty much chase all the hikers off the mountain for a day. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
That I've done so the first when they first opened Umunhum, like then you could ride to the top. I did that ride that first year. And the other thing is they had like a trail race, and it was, and it's probably still there, but I think they had a half marathon and a 10K. I don't know what else they had, but I did the half marathon. And at that point I was really fit, and I had a great race. I was the second woman, around my age to the top, but I am really bad at running downhill, really bad.
Mm.
And my hips start hurting. My technique sucks. I can't, I'm just, and it was pretty steep in some parts coming down. And I got passed by two other women coming down. And I was like, damn it. It's like disheartening
all
when you,
that work, all
yeah,
that work climbing
exactly.
the
It's like
mountain.
I beat them up the hill and I can't keep them off coming down. I was so just like so frustrated with that. And that was the race that kind of got me trying to figure out, and I still haven't figured it out, but started to try to figure out like techniques for running downhill, because that's the part of my race that always or even just any day trail run that just kind of falls apart for me.
So I was a horrible downhill runner. I'm afraid of heights, right? And some of those same feelings would kick in when I was running downhill.
Mm.
Um, I I feel like I've gotten much better. And what happened with me? I think it was a very fortunate set of circumstances. I don't know if it could be replicated, but maybe. Basically, I this guy I was running with, I started chasing this guy, right? And what it did is it got my eyes off the ground and onto that guy.
Ah,
Um, and and that for me was the game changer. Like, because if you're looking at the ground, running downhill, trying to figure out where to put your feet,
hmm,
that's like a very labor intensive process, right? Like,
yeah.
whereas if you just kind of let like your, I don't know, subconscious on whatever those other brain processes that are highly capable and don't require as much
Mm.
direct interaction, like you just kind of look at the horizon and let your brain take worry about like what's going on down here. It was a total game changer for me. And and again, like it wasn't like there weren't any drills. I just started chasing this guy. His name was Guy Her. I just started chasing Guy, and I would lock in on Guy, and I stopped paying attention to my feet, and I was massive repetition. Now it's just how I run downhill, and it's much better. It's much better.
Oh, wow. Okay. I might try that because I've listened
If
to,
you
shorten your stride and try to pick your foot back up really quickly and do this and that. And uh I still I still have issues going down.
if you got some time to intentionally have some fun with it, get
Mhm.
somebody that can run in front of you, like somebody faster than you downhill
Yeah.
that's willing to just kind of pace you and just
Ah,
play with your horizon. It's your eye horizon. Like to me, that was the biggest game changer with running downhill.
that's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that. Um, so not only Quicksilver, you also do you co direct another race?
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's another Quicksilver race, but
Okay.
our big race is the 100K, 50K in May,
Hmm.
but we have a half marathon coming up,
Oh,
October 25th, half marathon, 10K, and a 1 mile kids race, and
oh,
I
cool.
co-direct that with Laura Braun. Um, that's it's a much smaller ordeal. Like I think we have like one aid station, maybe two aid
Hmm.
stations, as opposed to five or six aid stations and multiple permitting agencies and regulatory districts. And yeah,
Yeah.
um, we don't like, we don't have to order porta potties as long as we stay under 100 people, and we always stay under 100 people. You'll hear me mention porta potties as part of race directing. That's a big deal, right? Like getting those things
Hmm.
out into the woods and
Oh, yeah. That must be a huge challenge, actually. I've never really thought about it. I've used them and been grateful they were
yeah,
there, and but I've done some big races where they had banks of porta potties, just huge amounts of porta pot. Like a good example is the hot chocolate race. It's not,
yeah,
it's not. It's just a fun run in San Francisco. And one year, I had to go to the bathroom like everybody else before the race, and it's just these massive long lines, just huge long lines. And I finally got into the porta potty, and there was zero toilet paper left. And I was like, "Oh, this really sucks. This sucks." Um, and I mean, there was like a square, you know what I mean, which I was like trying to deal with, and I couldn't. I was just like, "Well, is what it is." Start running right around, like literally, actually, yeah, like right when you first start running, right by the start, there was this other bank of porta potties that have essentially not been used by anybody.
yeah.
It was
Brand
like
new, smelling good.
brand new, fresh porta potties, and I was like, "Why did I wait in line for 20 minutes? If I'd walked, around the corner, I would have been the only one there." Um, but yeah, that's a huge thing. I didn't realize the 100-person rule. That makes a lot of sense.
It's our rule at our park.
Hmm.
The park kind of arbitrarily came up with that because they have a restroom where we have the start finish for that race, and
Hmm.
they just kind of came up with that arbitrarily. And it's so we will actually try to, like, we'll make a decision at some point if we want to grow the race past 100 people,
Mm-hmm.
if it's worth renting porta potties.
Yeah. And how big
Yeah.
is your race? The 50K and the 100K? Like how many people?
400 runners combined between the 50K and the 100K. I think we have 275 in the 100K and then
Hmm.
125 in the 50K.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really cool to hear, just here in the Bay Area, how many long distance runners there are. I mean, when people hear about ultra running, you think of like, oh, there's probably five insane people that do that. And you're talking about 400 people coming to your race and running long distance. That's
Yeah,
pretty
and we
incredible.
sell out fast. Like we sell out. There's more races now, so we don't sell out as fast as we used to. But
Hmm.
like, and you're so right, Lindsay. Like our race is a week or two away from Miwok, which is a 100K Western
Mm-hmm.
States qualifier, which is a week or two away from Canyons, which is a 100K Western States qualifier, and all that stuff is right here in Northern California, Bay Area.
That's cool. Does Western States still have a lottery, or did they get rid of it?
Nope, they have a lottery.
Not that, I'm going to enter a lottery for this, but I just wondered. So, do you have to have done anything to get into the lottery? Like, how do they know that you're not just like, could I just enter the lottery and be like, yeah, I haven't been running because I broke my ankle and now I'm just going to be in Western States?
You run a qualifying race.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, you run a qualifying race. So, uh, and generally to get in, you have to accumulate a lot of tickets. So you've run multiple qualifying races over multiple years. So
Okay.
yeah,
So, they have, so you have to qualify and you qualify by tickets. And then they have a lottery, which means you have to run one of those races and you can enter the lottery. Is that
yep,
right?
yep.
Okay. Okay. And about how many tickets does it take to just get, is it by speed? I mean, is it by pace? Like I know I use Ironman as an example, because I know that a little bit better. It's the certain number of spaces per qualifying race will
So it has nothing to do
determine.
with speed. It's just so obviously there's some. Well, I shouldn't say obviously, but there are automatic entries and like slots for professionals that
Hmm.
finish top 10 previous years and stuff like that. But
Okay.
everything else is uh, you double your tickets every time you're in the lottery. That gives you more and more tickets, which gives you
Okay.
better and better chances. And there might be 5,000 unique runners with
Okay.
60,000 tickets. I don't know, with however
So
many
because they're
tickets.
rolling over year to year.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
You got to
okay.
keep qualifying. You got to keep qualifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, they roll over year to year.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And so your Quicksilver race, you can sign up without having done something else.
Yeah,
Eh, Okay.
yep. But
Okay.
you can use that as a qualifying race to enter the Western States Lottery.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. And when, and we probably went over this when we talked last time, but just because we have listeners that didn't listen before, um, when did you start ultra distance running, and kind of what were your first races? What were your little foray into that?
Oh man, I found out about Western States and I wanted to run Western States. So I immediately started like, I'm going to run a first 50K, then I'm going to run a Western States qualifier. And
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And my trajectory was sharp. I got into Western States my first try, which
Oh,
is
wow.
unheard of. but yeah.
That's really cool. I just think a race I want to do, the race I've always had on my bucket list is the American River 50.
Yeah.
Have you
That
done
was
that
my first
race?
Western States qualifier.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it to qualify. I've heard it's pretty, and I've heard that the first, I don't know, 17 miles or something are fairly, I don't know if I'd say easy, but easier. I've heard after
Yeah.
that it gets really hairy, and they have that like meat grinder part of it, which doesn't sound too exciting, but the idea of running kind of along a river and into the mountains is appealing to me, because I want to look at
Yeah.
something nice, while I'm suffering.
I volunteer at that race most years. That's a good one. That's a good one.
All right. Well, I'm gonna, hopefully work my way up to try to work my way up to just running again. So, are you
You and me
running now?
both. You and me
I was gonna
both.
ask, are you running now, or what are you kind of doing now?
I am like not training as much. Actually, you know what, Lindsay? I have to put you on hold for 1 second. I'm sorry.
Sure. No worries. All right, listeners. I think he's got to deal with the cats because they are just being little buttholes today. Um, so, what I'll talk about while Lauren's gone is just that I've been sharing with you guys that I haven't been running. I don't, want to do triathlon anymore, or at least right now. I'm kind of like just riding my bike, and I'm feeling a little bit down and out about running. But all of Mike's talk about doing the Marine Corps Marathon, and just the talk we've had with ultra distance runners lately has really sort of sparked that fire in me again to get out and do
I'm
that.
sorry about that, Lindsay.
No
Like
worries.
you, I mean, like the world is starting to wake up, and
Oh yes, absolutely.
so
And
2024 Western States was a big spend for me. I had torn my meniscus early in the year, so I ran Western States with about 500 miles of training miles in 2024. Really helped me lower expectations, but it was a big spend. It was a big spend, and I kind of I want to say decided to take the year 2025 off racing, but I think that decision was made for me. um, so now, uh, so now I'm just trying to basically, like we just said, I started running with a focus on running Western States. Like I started running with a goal of running 100 miles, like not a
yeah,
5K or
right, right.
like
Like go
so
big.
um so, so it, I was always training for something.
Mm.
um I think that really, really matters. I think that helps so much with intention and not being overwhelmed by choices. Um, but I'd been doing it for 10 years, 11 years or something like that. And I had my first serious injury. I overcame it to run Western States. But after that, I just needed, out of necessity, to just chill for a bit. So now, the challenge is, how do you stay healthy and fit when you don't have the or else, right? When there is
Right.
no or else, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
there's no race that you're afraid of. like, like, I could not wake up and not run today, and
Yeah.
it really wouldn't matter,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
um, and when I was on your show the first time, we talked a little bit about like how important, like food. Like food
Mm-hmm.
is such a major part of all of this, right? And the same thing, like like when you're training, you always know what your workouts are. You always know what your workouts are. You always know what your meals are, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's going well. And I really thrive in that environment. Like, just follow the pattern. Follow the
Mm-hmm.
pattern. I really, really thrive in that. So, yeah, so now my, like, what I'm training for is just not to let all that slip away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, stay focused. Stay focused when there's no focus.
Yeah, it's definitely uh, more challenging. It's challenging for me. I'm in that space right now where I'm not doing. I was just saying when you stepped away that I haven't been running. Haven't been swimming. I've been riding. Um, and earlier this year, I was focused on swimming. I did like 50,000 yards in the month of February. It's a team challenge. And so I was very focused on swimming. And that was great because I had that goal, and I was like just counting my yards to get to 50K, 50K. And it was helpful because I'm getting in the pool. Today I'm getting in the pool pretty much most days, I'm getting in the pool this morning. Um, After that, I didn't have anything really planned. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I feel waterlogged, not going to swim. And then I was doing a little bit of running and then had a back problem. And I'm like, I can't really run right now. So I'm just going to ride. And I've been enjoying riding, but I had a goal of going to a gravel cycling camp in July, which I did. It was a lot of fun. Um, Still didn't quite have the fitness that I would have liked to have had because it's like camp. It's not a race, you know what I mean? And there's a van, they'll pick you up. You
Yeah,
can stop, you can roll into an aid station and eat a bunch of garbage and just kind of hang out. And they'll even give you a bump like, oh, you don't want to do this climb? We'll just bump you up to the next, I mean,
yeah,
I didn't do those things, but the impetus to train is a little bit lacking because it isn't a big, scary event or race. And so I'm kind of where you are in the sense of like, mm, I don't really have to do anything today if I don't want to do anything. And I think it's having a negative impact on my fitness for sure. And so, so are you getting up and doing the training? Are you finding it challenging?
yeah. Like, for the most part, like, there's been some cat challenge, like, what my my two oldest cats passed this year, both,
Oh, I'm so
like,
sorry.
so, like, there were times where you have to wake up and make sure they eat before you leave the
Mm-hmm.
house, and when you're not training for a race, like, maybe you're just not going to make it some of those
Mm-hmm.
days. There's been some of that, but for the most part, uh, I get up and I show up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't go as far or as fast as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think I think I need the routine.
Mm-hmm.
I need the routine.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if I'm not going to give up, um, then, and I'm not. So then I got to keep doing something. Keep doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a group that runs, um, like 5 days a week. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so that, how important community is in
Yeah.
times like this. I
Yeah.
had to find a power outlet. Sorry.
No
Um,
worries.
so yeah, I've got a really, really good group that keeps me up in the morning and stuff like that. So
That's awesome. do you have anything in mind at all, potentially race wise down the line?
I uh I want to keep qualifying for Western States. Like
Mm-hmm.
I well, because I want to run Western States as much as I can.
Right.
Which maybe never again. But I got to keep qualify. I got to keep getting qualifiers. Um so this year, if I could get a 50K in before the end of the year, I got a bunch of friends going out to Mammoth,
Ooh,
Mammoth Trail Fest. Uh,
that sounds cool.
I still like I still have hopes of doing that, and then kind of uh, I would take a look at the Quad Dipsy in November because
Yes.
they do a 10-year jacket, and I've run 8 times. So this year would be number 9. So that would motivate me. And then 2026, I want to run a Western States qualifier.
Okay, that sounds like a solid plan. The quad dipsy. Um, I have a friend who did it. My friend Heidi. She's been on on the show before, and she was trying to get me to go do it with her. And I ran just from I ran over to Stinson and then had a ride back, you know. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." Maybe the double I could see going back and forth. It would be great to do the quad, but that race with those stairs is just, you know, unbelievable. Just even I took some friends up there hiking and they were like, when did these end? You know, when do these stairs when do these stairs end?
You know what
So
makes that race so fun, Lindsay, is like the all day back and forth,
back and forth.
right? Like
Yeah,
you and Heidi see each other like at least 3 times, right? Like so,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it does sound like a really cool race. I could and you I mean you're so close to that 10-year jacket. You gotta do the other
I
two.
got to. I have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. You can't get that close and not do it. So we're going to wind down soon, but just for, because we've recently had a few ultra runners on the show, which is great. I think Mike's really getting back into running and I've got it, you know, in my sights to get back into running. What do you, what's some advice for people who are like, okay, I want to run a race longer than a marathon. You know, I want to run a 50K, say, what's some advice that you have for that kind of person who wants to start getting into it?
Consistency and food. Um, so what I mean by that is I really think uh, don't. Um, I mean, if you can log a bunch of miles, like
Mhm.
great, right? Like if you want to run 50 miles a week, that's your training goal, and that fits with your life. Great. Like I won't talk you off of that. However, if that's a challenge for you, if getting all those miles is a challenge, be consistent. Just be consistent. Consistency is more important than you know stacking up this many miles versus this many miles versus this many miles. Just be out there.
Okay.
And then food. Uh, once you pass the marathon distance, really, once you pass a half a marathon distance, fueling on the go becomes, I mean, 30-40%
Mhm.
of the experience you're going to have in the day, so uh, get used to figure out what you can eat on the go and get used to eating on the go. Like do it,
Mhm.
like, and don't try to you're not training to be able to run without eating. Like I think we all
Right.
try to do that, right? Like if I get really fit, I won't have to eat and then I'll solve all these problems. No, that's a fool's errand, right? Like it sends you
Yeah.
down a bad path. Like the David Roach. Some people love him, some people hate him. I love him. But David Roach, he recently referred to like running as the calorie war. Like, and what he was basically saying is like, I know my body can crank out watts. The calorie war is can I replace the energy as fast as I'm putting it out, right?
Right. Right.
Um, Now I know he's like super super elite, but I can tell you that even at my level, that's a real thing.
Mhm.
Like running, I can get to a point where I mean, as absurd as it may sound, running for 20 or 30 hours is fine as long as I can keep the fuel coming in, right?
Right.
So
Right. I would argue that, you know, being uh non-elite, just a regular athlete, it would almost be more important. You're going to be out there longer. I would see people do Ironman. They're doing it in like 9 hours or something. I mean, they're at dinner or lunch, well before I am. And I'm out there 14 and a half, 15 hours if you're not fueling, because you've already all these meals you've missed them all. A
Yeah.
normal, and so I could see how running for 20, 30 hours, I mean, there's no way without fueling correctly. Um, okay. Well, I think really grateful that you came on and shared your experience with us again. Listeners,
I'm
if you
grateful
want,
you asked. I was kind of thinking like, well, I'm not in the greatest shape right now. And I'm like, well, you know what? Like,
that's not a, that is not a qualifier to get on this show by any stretch of the imagination. Mike and I have both had periods while we're doing the show where we're like, yeah, I'm not really doing shit right now. I'm just sleeping in and doing whatever I feel like. One last question, just really quickly, because it's something that I've been doing and sharing on here is that I've started doing strength training as I've aged. Is that something that you do? Um,
yes,
okay.
a big believer in it. Like, and I'm just like, just my thing is I like to do lots of push-ups and pull-ups, you
Okay.
know, but because both of those things are like really good for your core.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I also feel like if you have like the time to be intentional about it, and again, because if you're a runner, you're going to get lower body stuff, right? So
Mm-hmm.
push-ups and pull-ups just kind of make you balanced, right? But if
Right.
you have time to be intentional about it, when I was really ramping up for the 2021 states,
Mm-hmm.
squats and lunges, man, I feel like it really helped. I feel like it really helped. And I kind of feel like it's a luxury, right? Because like, oh, my legs are already doing so much. I'm running this many miles a week, right? So I
Right.
kind of felt like it was a luxury, but there was some value there. I really felt like there was some value there.
Cool. Cool. Well, that's good to know because I'm doing a strength training like class twice a week, and my main motivation for doing that is that after my ankle surgery, my body's been very out of balance because I had this long period of time where I needed surgery, and the doctors were fighting me on that. They were like, "You can ride your bike 20 miles. That seems like enough." And I'm like, "That's not. It's not what
Uh,
don't compare me to other patients that don't are sedentary. It took me a while. So then my body's way out of balance. So every time I start running more than any other thing, it's very apparent. Like I start having pains in other parts of my body because I'm out of balance. So the strength training is the thing that I'm trying to use to rebalance myself so I can start running. So it's good to hear that you're
I'm a big
promoting it.
time believer. Also, super frustrating to hear about your experience with healthcare. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this like the same thing when I had my meniscus. Like, I say it's a torn meniscus. They never would give me an MRI because it's like, well, you're still training, right? It's like, well, yeah, but I can't run. Like, like
Right.
they're like, oh, but you're fine. You're so much better than all these other people. Why spend money on an MRI for you? Like,
I know it's really crazy.
yeah,
After I had my surgery, the doctor came out like right then and talked to me about it. And he said, "Oh, it went really well. You had a lot of scar tissue in there, and that must have been really painful." I'm like, "Huh." I've been saying that for 15 months. It only took you. Yes, it must have been. So it was frustrating, but it's better now, and I want to. There's no reason why I can't get back to running. So you've definitely inspired me today. And listeners, if you want to hear the first interview with Loren, you can go to our YouTube channel because all of our past episodes are on there, and you can scroll way back and you'll see the one with Loren, and you can listen to it there because I think it's just back in those days we just did audio, not video. Now you can go to YouTube and you can see Loren and myself while we're talking because it's a full video. Thanks so much for coming on, and
Lindsay,
best
thanks
of
so much for
luck.
reaching out. Sorry about a couple of interruptions.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah.
We're loosey goosey around here. This podcast is for fun and for just a creative outlet. And so we're not, if someone has to get up and deal with their cat, we're good. Cause Mike and I've both gotten up and dealt with our dogs. So it's not a big deal. All righty, listeners. Yeah, check out our YouTube. That's your assignment for this week, and we will see you next week. Thanks so much. Bye.